Good morning. My name is Arif Panju. I'm an attorney at the Institute for Justice, Texas chapter. The Institute for Justice is a national public interest law firm. We litigate individual liberty cases across the nation in federal and state courts. This morning we filed a lawsuit in federal court against the city of El Paso on behalf of our clients, 4 mobile food vendors who operate here in the city. You're going to hear from the lead counsel and our executive director of the Texas chapter of the Institute, Matthew R. Miller. He'll describe and talk about the claims that we're making against the city. You'll then hear from 2 of our clients. You'll hear from Yvonne Castaneda and Maria Robledo, who are both mobile food vendors here in El Paso. And then we'll take questions. Matthew R. Miller, our executive director.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. We're here this morning to vindicate the constitutional rights of the street vendors who you see behind me. We're challenging 2 restrictions that El Paso recently put in place, essentially turning the city of El Paso into a no-vending zone. The first of those prohibits any mobile vendor from operating within 1,000 feet of a restaurant, convenience store, or grocer. As you can see on this map, that turns most of El Paso into a no-vending zone. The second ordinance that we're challenging is an ordinance that prohibits vendors from stopping and awaiting customers. Traditionally, a vendor will park at the curb for maybe the lunch hour or the breakfast rush, take 45 minutes or an hour. Customers will come and go and they'll serve them. The new ordinance prohibits that. Now vendors have to circle the block and customers have to be standing at the curb, cash in hand, before a vendor can stop to serve them. And when the customer leaves, the vendor has to leave too. These laws serve no public safety purpose. They don't protect the public. Who they protect is brick-and-mortar businesses, grocers, and convenience stores that don't like vendors competing with them. The clients we have with us have been operating in the city of El Paso collectively for over 25 years. They're licensed, they abide by traffic safety regulations, they abide by food health regulations. And up until 2009, they didn't have any issues with the city. But since then, the city has been engaged in an aggressive campaign of trying to run them out of town to protect their brick-and-mortar competitors. So we've filed suit against the city in federal court, and we're asking a federal judge to do nothing more than declare these laws unconstitutional. Now I'm going to let you hear from 2 of our clients, Yvonne Castaneda and Maria Robledo. They, like I say, have been operating in El Paso for over 15 years collectively, and they'd like to tell you more about how this law has impacted them and about why they're in this lawsuit. Yvonne?
Good morning. My name is Yvonne Castaneda, and I've been vending for several years already, trying to get my business going a little bit further. I haven't been able to process with my future with my vending because of these regulations that have been affecting my business and myself, and it's also been affecting my family. You know, I'm the head of household in my family, so all these regulations have been affecting us tremendously, and also with my customers. You know, my customers that I had on a daily basis have been affected by this also, because they're no longer able to come out because of the circulation that I've got to be doing for the waiting on the customers, and then for the 1,000 feet that must be that we have to be away from. And that's basically what's been going on with us here in El Paso right now.
Next, I'd like to introduce you to Maria Robledo. She's also a street vendor. She's been operating in El Paso for 13 years, and she'll tell you a little about her story. Then we'll take some questions, and then we can take individual questions or interviews afterwards.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Maria Robledo, and I've been working as a booth vendor for 13 years, and I've been bothering a lot for all these ordinance that I think is not right. I just trying to do a living. That's all I'm trying to do. I just been doing working hard, and like I told him before, if work is a criminal, so I guess I'm a criminal. If work is a crime, I guess I'm a criminal. But I just trying to do a good, honest living. And then all this ordinance has been affecting a lot. Sometimes we even feel depressed and anxious because we just waiting to see the health department officers. They don't come and give us a citation because we're not away from 1,000 feet from a restaurant or a school or any kind of convenience store. And like I said, again, I'm just trying to do an honest living. Thank you.
So I promised all of you we would keep this brief. That's the formal press conference. Do you have questions for the group? If you don't, we can break up, but we're happy to take questions now. We're a national public interest law firm, so we do civil rights lawsuits around the country, and we work in the area of economic liberty. We have seen these laws crop up in cities across the country. There's approximately 47 major cities that have, they take different forms, but restrictions that really target vendors and really make vending almost prohibitively difficult in these cities. So we've been monitoring this trend. And we heard about El Paso's ordinance, interestingly enough, from the city of Austin. In a presentation they made to their council, Austin was considering a way to regulate mobile vendors in a reasonable way that would accommodate the vendors, but also accommodate legitimate health and safety concerns. And they mentioned the El Paso ordinance, and we came and started talking to vendors in town and realized it was a real problem, and so here we are.
How many vendors are you representing?
We represent 4 vendors, but if we're successful, if the judge declares the law unconstitutional, then that will affect every vendor in El Paso.
And basically what you want is to have the possibility of vend everywhere?
We want to go back to the world as it was in 2008, where there are some restrictions in El Paso. For instance, you can't vend downtown because the city says that there's too many traffic safety concerns downtown. They had a comprehensive vending ordinance that went into effect in 2001, and that ordinance seemed to work well for everybody. It seemed to accommodate traffic safety concerns, food safety concerns, but also allow these women to operate their businesses. We just want to go back to 2008, before these protectionist regulations were put in effect. Yes, sir.
Question. You see vendors selling hot dogs in downtown Dallas, in New York City. Those are huge cities. Right? And we started having that some years back, and it was they said the city council said that they couldn't do that anymore. What's wrong with having a hot dog vendor downtown?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but that's not the law that we're challenging today.
Well, maybe you can touch on that.
Well, I mean, vendors, they've long been a part of the fabric of American life. Their eyes and ears on the street. In New York with the Times Square bombing, actually, it was a vendor who spotted the smoke coming out of that vehicle and broke up the bombing of Times Square, I guess it was about 6 months ago. Vendors become part of the communities. You get to know your customers. They've long been a part of the fabric of American life. All they want to do is operate legally and honestly, and we're just trying to give them that right.
We're all for that as a public citizen myself.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Why challenge this kind of case here in El Paso as opposed to any of the other cities where similar laws have been introduced?
Well, our office is in Austin, so we look for cases in Texas. And we looked at the restrictions in the major Texas cities, and El Paso's is by far the worst. The 1,000-foot restriction is pretty it's pretty aggressive. Other cities, for instance, San Antonio has a 300-foot restriction, but El Paso's is pretty aggressive, and they've been enforcing it aggressively. And we represent flesh and blood clients who are having real problems, and the problems were just the biggest here in El Paso. Well, thank you all for coming. We'll make ourselves available afterwards. You should have all received a press packet, which has a color copy of this. It has a backgrounder, a copy of the complaint that we filed this morning. If you haven't gotten one, please ask us for one. And again, we're available to talk to anyone who'd like to follow up. Thank you very much.